brands have become a very large part of your careers, I would say at this point, right? How has this brand that you've both developed has helped you in your careers?
Well, I would definitely say, like I mentioned before, this is not something that I imagined would happen, that I'd have all these followers. I was just showing everybody kind of my life and my travels and things like that. And I think it definitely has exploded, opening up a lot of different opportunities, both working with industry. My pages are public in all my social media channels, so there are patients that follow me. Sometimes they ask me about some of the trips I've been to. So I think it really helps me connect with different people. It kind of shows them that, even though I am a healthcare provider, eye care provider, I'm also a human being. I have fun, I have interests, and if it helps me build a relationship because we can connect on some of the places I've been or some of the things I've done, then I love it.
For me, it's the same thing, adding on to what said. I just wanted to be able to show who I am, and I think it's like narrating a story. And if you do show your story, people really connect to it. And so for me, initially, I wanted to show people that you can do all the things that you enjoy, like travel and work full time. I think a lot of it was judgment or fear of judgment from people, that I was a female that didn't work, all I did was travel. And it was kind of frustrating because I actually worked 6 days a week when I first started so that I could afford to do the things I enjoyed. So I wanted to show people that, you can do all the things that you want and actually build a craft around it and be a master at it. And I think for me, it's opened up a lot of doors in terms of, yes, industry people, brand recognition, working with travel companies as well as healthcare companies, but also actually connecting with people who are like me, students, like female doctors who might feel stuck, but they, privately reach out to me. They're like, it's really inspiring to see that you do all the things that you enjoy. I want to find a way to combine healthcare with like beauty. And sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in a rut with my job, and it really helps me see, it makes me feel good that you're able to do the things that you enjoy. So that really is sort of inspiring to me.
Do you think that it's important for people to develop some sort of brand for themselves?
Yeah, I would honestly say, with your brand, that's basically synonymous with your reputation. So it's definitely something that you want to work on no matter what, who you are and what kind of person you are. The funny thing is, a lot of people think, I'm a very extrovert kind of person. I don't shy away from the spotlight. But a lot of people, like you were saying, may not necessarily want to always be in the spotlight, and that's okay. That's the great thing about it, is because the key thing about building your brand is actually being authentic to who you are. You can get out of your comfort zone a little bit sometimes, and that's always important too. But being true to who you are matters, and that's actually, I think, what builds your followers. Because when you're authentic and you're relatable, there's a lot of people in healthcare who probably aren't as extrovert as I am, and they probably can't relate to some of the things I do. But that's okay. They've still managed to build that brand. They've still managed to put themselves out there in a way that's comfortable for them, and I can relate to that because I kind of see myself in them. So yeah, for me, it just doesn't matter who you are. How, you judge the level of comfort of how much you want to put there, but being authentic to who you are is really what matters.
So for me, I think anyone should, in any career or field, should build a personal brand. It doesn't take away from who you are as a character, it only adds to you. Think about how society is built. We've always been graded and evaluated on paper. Online presence is just another form of your resume. When you apply for colleges, when you take your exams, you're always graded in some form or way. In some form, social media is an even better way to show your personality on top of everything that you've achieved. And I think that's even more important for people to judge who you are. Let's say in a working scenario, what type of personality is this person? What type of character is this person? What goals does this person have? What does this person like to do when they have free time? So I think it's really important to personal brand yourself. In terms of challenges to overcome, it's funny, like what he said, through social media, I think I've become more introverted. I used to be super extroverted. I don't know if that has to do with getting older or social media, but I think being aware that you're putting yourself out there constantly, I choose what I want to keep private, and I choose what I want to put out there. So you have to be aware of what you're comfortable sharing, or else you'll stress yourself out. So I think that's one big thing. And you can actually have social media in many different forms. You don't need to take selfies and video record yourself all the time talking. You could be a poet. You could write, you could compose captions that are creative, that reach your audience in a different way. There's a lot of poetic influencers that I follow, like R.M. Drake, and he writes really poetic stuff that people follow, or like quotes, or maybe like videos. It doesn't have to be just you.
So you're both are big into Instagram, right? I mean, that's basically I would say where you're prominent. Do you think that, is that okay just being on one place like that? Or do you feel like you need to sort of branch into other platforms, say? Because, sometimes these social media platforms are cyclical.
Well, it's funny, remember when Instagram had a crash a week ago? Everyone went on Twitter. So yes, there is some other form of social media that's very useful for me. If I had all the time in the world and I didn't work a full-time job and balancing all the other things that I'm doing, would totally invest in other social media platforms or channels, but it just depends on how much time you have and what you're looking for. I think YouTube is a great channel for people to show services that they do, and if you have sort of a creative way to engage your audience in a different sort of format. I think for me, YouTube and Instagram, if I were to consider, yeah.
How about you?
Honestly, once again, it's what are you comfortable with? Just because Instagram is the most popular one right now, it's the one where there's a lot of users every day engaging with different people, doesn't mean that that's where you absolutely have to go. It's just one of the platforms. And honestly, if you're more comfortable on Twitter, on YouTube, on Pinterest, that's good. You do what works for you. Because, like I said, as long as as you constantly, work on it, you engage with your followers, engage with all these people, then you'll build it, whichever platform you do, right? And each one is uniquely different in terms of how you create content, how you distribute content, and how people engage back and forth. So you have to do what's comfortable. Honestly, I have friends who don't use Instagram at all and just love Twitter, and that's okay. I have a Twitter, but I don't really use it. I check it every once in a while, and that's okay too. That's just not my thing. But honestly, it's, like what Jen was saying, honestly, if I had the time, I'd be on every social media platform constantly, because I think it's important to, be able to put yourself out there, engage in all different fronts. But because we have jobs, because we have limited time during the day, because we have other things that we need to be focused on, you pick what you have time for and what you're most comfortable with.
Yeah, and it's funny, you both mentioned time. How much time do you put in, would you say, I don't know, daily, weekly, whatever? It's almost like having a business.
Yeah. It's 24 hours in a day, minus 8 hours of sleep, minus 9 hours at work. The rest of the time is Instagram. But I actually looked at my Instagram hours that I spent. It says 2 hours. I'm like, is that possible?
Yeah, and now you're, if you have an iPhone, it tells you at the end of the day how much screen time you've been on the phone.
Yeah.
I think I constantly kind of go between 5 to 7 hours a day.
That's a lot.
Bad. It's bad. And by far majority of that's on Instagram, Facebook, things like that. Honestly, the key thing really is it's consistency versus intensity, right? It's not about, for myself personally, I don't spend a lot of time per post. My pictures, I try to just avoid low quality posts, low quality pictures, but I know there's some influencers out there that spend 1 or 2 hours per picture. I spend about 30 seconds. Like I said, I just make sure to not have low quality content, but at the same time, while I understand that, a lot, better pictures, high quality pictures, more engaging perspectives, things like that, tend to do better. I do have other things that I do, and unfortunately, I don't spend that time. And so my thing is, I personally just make sure that to be more consistent, post consistently. If you're not engaging, out of sight, out of mind is a very real thing. I'd rather do that than have really, really amazing, high quality pictures that I spend a lot of time on and have that high intensity. But like I said, at the end of the day, if I'm only doing that, say once every other week, it's not as important as if I post pretty good quality pictures, pretty good quality posts every day or every other day. That's much more important to me, and that's how I build my followers.
And it's funny, we talk about this all the time. Our approach is different, but it works. But we agree that it's more about efficiency at the end. For me, I think the captions resonate. If you have a meaningful caption, I actually spend more time on the caption than the photo itself. When you go on trips and stuff where you travel, you want to be present where you are. Yes, you can take the photos, but you want to sit there and edit and then post and then wait for people to comment. So I take a bunch of photos. I have it in a library of photos. If I have something that I need to post or I feel that day that inspires me, I'll go through my album and I'll pick a photo and then I'll post it. And I think for me, efficiency is really important in terms of time management. And I think the most meaningful part that will last over time is what you said in that caption, because that's what people remember, not really that specific photo that you took.
Do you spend time ever looking at your insights on, maybe certain posts just to kind of gauge what is working better, what is not working better?
I think more so in the beginning, because especially when you're building your following, you really need to understand things like how, when the best time to post, which days to post. So getting that information from having a business profile.
What do you think are the best times and days to post, if you, in your experience?
Well, I post pretty often. Once a day, twice a day, even 3 times a day. I like to think of it for me, especially when I check Instagram. When I'm not posting content, but when I actually use it as a user, not a creator. Which is going to be in the morning, before I go to work, during lunchtime, right after work. So I kind of cater things around that. It'd be 8 a.m., 12 p.m., maybe like 4 or 5 p.m. kind of thing. If I am, depending on how much I'm posting. But yeah, like I said, everyone's a little different. What are the demographics of your followers? When do they like to engage? So those insights on having a business profile are huge, because understanding when to efficiently and effectively engage matters a lot. But I think what happens is you get to a point as you keep doing this that once you become more familiar, I don't check it as often as I used to when I was building my account. Now it's just, I already have an idea, because I already know what works. So, it's still good to track these things every once in a while, but I don't cater things around those specific insights and numbers anymore, because I have that general kind of feeling of when's a good time without it.
For me, my followers are primarily in New York City and Los Angeles. So when I look at my time and my insights, it's actually flat even from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I can post anytime between that time, and it's fine. So I don't really follow a schedule. It's just whenever I'm not busy at work and I have a gap, I post. Yeah.
Actually, what's really funny about that too, now that you mention it, is apparently it does show you where all your followers are from by city. And apparently my number one city is New York. So I actually sometimes have to think about East Coast time. Sometimes for me, wanting to post something at 9 o'clock at night might be great for the West Coast, but if it's a weekday, a lot of people are already sleeping or getting ready for bed. And so it's kind of interesting. Not what I expected. Obviously, I'm based on the West Coast, San Jose, California, and actually I think that's fourth. Actually, my hometown is fourth. I think Boston is up there too, and it's a lot of East Coast followers, which not what I expected, but that's just how it is sometimes.
Room for growth then, right? So say I want to start building a brand. I've decided, hey, you know what? I want to start building a brand for myself. What advice would you give me?
I would say be the master of one or two crafts that you're really good at, and really hone in on it. Let it come naturally. If it's something that you're passionate about, I think things will come naturally along the way, and opportunities will present itself. Don't go chasing after the opportunities. Focus on why it makes you happy first, and I think success will come.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big part of actually doing this. It should be something that you enjoy. And so if it starts feeling tedious, like work, then you're just going to do it just for the sake of doing it, and it really does show. Honestly, authenticity is such a huge thing. Like I said, it doesn't matter, if you don't feel like you're as outgoing or you don't travel as much. That's okay. You do you. You show me what you have, and what makes you happy, what makes you comfortable. And I promise you, people will. You'd be surprised how many people are more similar and have similar interests. The key thing, if you take a look at Jen's social media, my social media, your job isn't to be like us. That's not what you want to do. You want to be you and be the best version of you there is.
Well, thanks for joining us. And where can people give you a follow?
Dr. Genenges, Dr. Genenges. Yeah.
And the Traveling OD.
There you have it. So if anyone has any questions or wants to come up and chat with these folks, you're more than welcome.